Welcome back. Good morning again. This is Brighter Morning with Boo, and I'm Boo Tiwari. And let's talk to Mr. Ravi Rampersad, the Chief Executive Officer of RAMPREM, the company that he leads. And let's talk with him this morning. Ravi, how are you? Sound. You have to put the sound on your side. Can we hear you now?
Yes, Bo. Morning.
Morning, right. We have a good clear picture and you are on screen, and we'll put you fully on the screen in just a minute. I hope you are hearing me clearly. And I want to start with this. Tell the population, the viewers, what kind of company you run, that is to say RAMPREM, and what kind of clients you have and where you operate, so that we can start with an understanding of your company and its work.
So, good morning again to all the listening and viewing audience. Before I begin, Bo, I would like to extend my condolences to the families who have lost loved ones during the pandemic. My name is Ravi Rampersad. I am the Chief Executive Officer of RAMPREM Enterprises Limited. RAMPREM is a fourth-party logistics company which manages a company's supply chain. In other words, we are a logistics integrator which manages all the stakeholders involved in the supply chain. So, for example, we have custom brokers, freight forwarders, transportation providers, rigging and strapping personnel. Our clients operate in a variety of industries, which include retail, manufacturing, energy, and telecoms. And all of our clients is in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. Do you have any Caribbean reach? Do you operate in the Caribbean at all? Or is it only in Trinidad and Tobago?
Only in Trinidad and Tobago at the moment, but we are currently looking at opening up in Guyana and Suriname.
All right. Yes, because the big things are happening there. That is the southern part of the Caribbean that is now boomtown, so to speak, because of the discovery of oil and the introduction of major energy players into those countries. Now, you operate in Trinidad and Tobago with all of these stakeholders which really move goods and services into the country. What government institutions do you depend on? And you've explained already that you are one company in a logistic chain that basically manages logistical efficiency and effectiveness. How does a logistics company manage its business? So two issues: how dependent on you on government institutions, and explain how this business of logistics work when so many stakeholders are involved.
Okay. So, Bo, I will answer that question in reverse. Okay. I will answer the question of how we manage, how a logistics company manages operation. Now, I can't speak for all logistics companies. I would speak for my logistics company.
Okay.
RAMPREM manages its entire operations via SLAs, service level agreement. So we have in our vendors list a group of custom brokers, a group of freight forwarders, a group of all the vendors, all the service providers that provide the service of supply chains. Now, what we do, we hold the service providers accountable via a service level agreement. And this service level agreement includes KPI, key performance indicators. It also allows for the formal lines of communication, because we have an issue, or we had an issue rather, with one of our clients. He came to us and he said, well, look, before he was our client, he came to us and he said, well, look, he said, Ravi, we have a serious issue. We had to deal with the freight forwarder, we had to deal with a custom broker, and we had to deal with multiple transportation providers. When you deal with a single point of contact with a company, it makes the administration a bit easier. On the client side, the headache will be less. Okay? Now we have an open book style of management here at RAMPREM, and we are extremely full transparency is given towards the client. What we do for our clients, we take our clients' best interests at heart. Normally what would happen in the industry, there are prior agreements signed by the various logistic providers with global freight forwarders and their brands. We shop around on behalf of our clients, and we consolidate shipments so that we can offer them the best price as possible.
Yeah, I reminisce there for a minute when you talked about open book management. I remember talking about that as far back as 1996 and generating a lot of interest in the conference that I presented it at. Actually, it was in Austria, of all places. And I was then head of the IOB. But I asked you a question about the dependence on government institutions. Now, I want to just summarize one thing that you said, which is that a client comes to you because they want to avoid the headache of dealing with 5 and 6 different agencies to solve their problem. And when they come to you, they want their problem at the point, all the problems solved and the goods delivered to them so that they can go about their business. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so tell me the government agencies you are dependent on.
So, as part of the logistics here in Trinidad and Tobago, public agencies own and operate all the import and export processes that is involved. So let me give you an example. We here in Trinidad and Tobago, every year for the budget, you hear business chambers suggesting to government what ought to take place, what should take place, because at the end of the day, they represent a membership that they have to account to. All of the institutions, which include all of the public agency institutions, which include Customs and Excise, ports, Chemistry, Food and Drug Division, TTBS, Planned Quarantine, and so on. All of these institutions are controlled by the state. In 2015, the government of Trinidad and Tobago ratified the Trade Facilitation Agreement. This agreement was developed by the World Trade Organization in a bid to help developing countries and least developed countries to trade more. So the Trade Facilitation Agreement, the provisions contained is designed to facilitate the movement and release clearance of goods, and including those in transit. So what it does, the benefits of the Trade Facilitation Agreement reduces clearance time, eliminate unnecessary documentation, and it will create greater participation of SMEs in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, and I want you to listen carefully, but this is the problem that we are having here in Trinidad and Tobago. This agreement came into force in 2017. And from 2017 to 2021, our current rate of implementation is 22.7%, with a duration extending from 2017 to 2027, which is a 10-year time frame. That is rather long for a high-income country. But even more so, it is unacceptable as a high-income country that every year you hear politicians, former politicians, economists state that we need to diversify the economy, but you cannot speak about diversifying the economy without addressing trade facilitation reform.
Yeah.
It is one of the key factors underpinning trade agreements, foreign direct investments, because I will tell you something, companies abroad do not expand into other companies based upon sentiment, or they spend a year in Carnival here and, they love the atmosphere and they love the people. Companies move operations abroad, expand operations, diversify the operations abroad for the sole purpose of maximizing profits. There is no other purpose. There is no sentiment there. Business is business. And when you have a country that does not even consult with the private sector, you will soon have a situation where we have, even now in Trinidad and Tobago, there's high levels of involuntary unemployment. You will have a situation as in the globe, in the world as of now, including Trinidad and Tobago society, where you have the cost of living is rising much faster than salaries. So you will soon have, in the next 5 or 10 years, companies cannot hire people at the bottom level, meaning couriers and this lower level staff, because it is not economically feasible. So the only way these people would survive is that they have to open their own business or own small business. But in the media, I have never heard the issue of trade facilitation being raised. And as I said before, we have multiple trade agreements with different countries, Latin America, England, United States, the European Union. But in these trade agreements, having trade agreements is all good and fine. It expands the local, it exposes the local manufacturers to different markets, to access different markets. In addition to that, small, medium-sized enterprises in Trinidad could play a greater participation in global value chains, right? But this trade facilitation agreement, I don't understand why that after, from 2017 to 2021, we have our current rate of implementation is 22.7%.
All right.
This is rather low and this is unacceptable.
Let me ask you a question. Where do you get that number from of the assessment?
22.7%?
Yes.
The trade facilitation agreement has a database from the World Trade Organization.
All right.
And
So
that is publicized.
Right. So you got that
Yes.
from World Trade, and that is
Yes.
how we are ranked. So we have some work to do. And secondly, trade facilitation is a competitive factor that impacts general efficiency as well as investment decisions by other companies, right? And the third issue is that it is one thing to sign a trade agreement with a company, but the trade facilitation system and the logistics that it makes possible, the logistical efficiency that it makes possible, is more important than anything else, because you can have a paper agreement that does not yield anything unless in fact there is a movement of goods and services in an efficient manner. Is that correct? Am I correct so far?
Of course. But what we have seen is that we have seen piecemeal changes. We have seen incremental reforms that have taken place, and we pat ourselves in the back and say, yes, we are doing a good job, which is in fact the entire world is moving forward. The entire world is moving forward.
What are some of the reforms that we need to make in trade facilitation?
Trade facilitation contains 12 articles. The number one article, Article 1, is the publicity of information. So for example, for that Article 1, you would see on the trade facilitation website, on the database, as a matter of fact, you would see that is extending from 2017 to 2027. So you are telling me, as the government is taking 10 years to put information from customs and excise onto our website. The government have the luxury of doing that. But you could tell me any company from the private sector could take 10 years to do that. This is unacceptable. The most amount, all the information that is contained, that's supposed to be publicized. For example, if I go on if you go on the customs website, on the importing procedures, you will see very clearly how to import a barrel from the port. We are in 2021. That section, importing procedures, supposed to have all the procedures listed. All the procedures listed for the importers, all the documentation, all the procedures listed for exporting, all the documentation. But the website in itself, the customs website, because if I am a full-time, I resign my job or I retire and I would like to become a small-scale manufacturer into niche products, manufacturing soaps, and I am now getting into this. What it is exactly I would find on the customs and excise website, how to import a barrel from the port, we are always backward as a country. So
yeah, okay. Now I get you, and we'll explore some of that again. But we have to break now to give our sponsors a chance to speak to the audience. But I want to ask you a question before we go, and you think about it, and when we come back, we'll talk about it. Right now, there's a general problem with the global supply chain. And logistical efficiency today is really, what can I say? It has been turned upside down. How is that affecting your role and your business in Trinidad and Tobago? I want to talk about that because it has implications for other things. And I'm not going to ignore the fact that you are talking about trade facilitation reform. And you've made the point that the first necessity for effective trade facilitation is, in fact, the provision of information in a transparent and open way on things that matter in trade facilitation. Okay, this is Brighter Morning with Bo. I am Bo Tiwari. We are talking to Mr. Ravi Rampersad, who is CEO of a logistics company called RAMPREM. And we break now for our sponsors to say their piece to you, the audience. Thank you very much. This is Brighter Morning with Bo. I'm Bo Tiwari, and you are watching on MCTV, Multicultural TV, in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Welcome to Lifetime Solutions, where you can trust your roof to us. Our services include custom fabrication, steel framing, roofing installation, on-site roll forming, roofing maintenance and services. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today, or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionstt.com. Lifetime Solutions. You can trust your roof to us. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today, or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionstt.com.
As businesses adapt to the new normal, let Magic Mist take care of your cleaning and sanitization needs with our COVID-19 BSCAI internationally certified technicians. With over 43 years of protecting the health of our nation, you can trust us to ensure your building remains safe, healthy, and functional. Give us a call today at 638-6675 or 332-5522. Magic Mist Services Limited, your total facilities management solutions provider.
Welcome back. This is Brighter Morning with Bo on MCTV, Multicultural TV, and I am Bo Tiwari, your host, and we are talking to Mr. Ravi Rampersad of RAMPREM, which is a logistics company operating in Trinidad and Tobago and potentially in the Caribbean region. Okay, can you address the question I asked you, this logistics problem that we are having globally and the supply chain disruption, is that having an impact here in Trinidad and Tobago, and how?
Of course, it's having an impact in Trinidad and Tobago. So, for example, when the onset of the supply chain occurred, we have had President Biden issuing an executive order to open the port of Los Angeles and the port of Long Beach 24/7. And the reason for that was basically the overall mandate was to strengthen the resilience of America's supply chain. We as a company, RAMPREM, has taken certain steps, not to mitigate, because we are a small company and by extension, Trinidad and Tobago cannot really do anything to affect global supply chain. So what we had to do, we had to go out there and renegotiate rates, much better rates than in an already challenging business environment. What we have done as a business was take it a step further and offer our clients, certain clients, extended payment periods. Usually it would have been 30 days, it would have been 60 days, but for certain clients, we would have extended that. And in return, clients would have come to us and said, well, look, we are extending our hand to you. We would like you to provide this additional service to us, which initially we would have outsourced to another company. And we are grateful for that. But how exactly this has affected our business? Business competition is stiff, especially in Trinidad and Tobago. There are a lot of fourth-party logistics providers operating in Trinidad and Tobago, but at the same time, we have used technology, which is inclusive of automation, to sort of streamline our business.
How important is technology in your business? Because, you know, I was reading some time ago an article which basically said that while COVID-19 exacerbated the problem of transportation and supply chain and logistical issues, and while it affected ports and so on, part of the problem was really before COVID, in the sense that China is very, very strong in the technology of AI and different things that allow them to deal with this digitally. And the United States has been slow in the process. So how important is technology for your business and your level of efficiency? I don't want to ask you those questions about China and the US because I think that is a different kind of discussion. But how important is technology to you in making you efficient in spite of the inefficiencies and ineffectiveness in the world system?
Technology for any company is a source of competitive advantage. We also use technology in complement to our existing staff. Our staff are very dedicated, they are very cooperative, and they go beyond the call. We look at companies in the 80s and 90s and say, well, look, we have 500 staff under our roof. And by that definition, that company is looked at on a, up there. But in today's society, when you have technology that is complemented, you could scale technology, yes, but you could also scale staff. Not the scale I am speaking about, having 500 or having 800, but you are selecting quality people at the end of the day. We here at RAMPREM, we put out ads and job opportunities out there, and from time to time, we get a lot of offers, but our HR manager selects, along with myself and other senior members of the company, to select the best people. Because sometimes what would happen, you would select people with all the education and with all the intelligence, but not with the best intentions of taking the company forward, and by extension, taking Trinidad and Tobago forward.
Okay, how do you make that judgment? How do you discern? How you create that discernment capacity in the company?
Well, I have been with the company for full time, approximately 6 years. We started this company in 2002, and I have seen this company grown from 4 members of staff, inclusive of myself, my brother, my father, my mother, to close to 50 members of staff. But these 50 members of staff aren't a normal or a conventional group of people. Over the years, we have had good people. Most of them are still with us today. Sometimes you may come across bad people, but over time, you will understand how the business works, what is required, both intellectually, in an intellectual capacity, also in a spiritual capacity. Because sometimes we would ask them questions, unconventional questions about life, questions about what is your thoughts on social impact, questions sometimes that may not have anything to do with their job. Yeah. But what I would want to know is that what sort of individual that I am hiring.
So the values issue is very important to you in hiring somebody then. Okay, we're going to have to close up the show. This half an hour went faster than I thought, because a lot of this information is new information, and you were very insightful in making your points. So I will just give you an opportunity to close the show by making any kind of comment or statement or giving any kind of perspective that you would like.
Okay. Since the onset of the pandemic, for years before, we have had administrations, people in government that do not understand the potential of trade. When you make decisions at the top, it is cascaded throughout the organization, whether it is government, private sector, any institution, it doesn't matter. And the man on the ground feels it through employment. When he goes to the supermarket and he sees increased prices, what that does, it reduces his purchasing power. In other words, he has to pay more for less. If we do trade right and we expeditiously implement the trade facilitation agreement, what would happen? You would cast a wider net. Everyone would have access to services and goods at a lower cost. And in fact, what the National Trade, the trade facilitation agreement does is reduce the transaction costs. It enables companies to export more. It enables especially the SMEs, which are considered the growth engines of the economy, to increase. So with that in mind, I would like to say we have a lot of potential here in Trinidad, a lot of untapped potential. And we have to do more as a society, government, private sector, and labor to combine, consult with each other, and make decisions, be decisive. So,
all right. So we are emphasizing the importance of trade facilitation and trade facilitation reform. Maybe I'll send a note to the Minister of Trade on that, because it anchors the competitiveness capacity of industry in Trinidad and Tobago. So thank you very much, Ravi, for your contribution here this morning, and we'll talk to you another time. This is Brighter Morning with Bo. I am Bo Tiwari, and we've been talking to Ravi Rampersad of the company RAMPREM, which is a logistics company, and we hand over now to Andrew Chan and the news.